Vampires. Everyone knows them, everyone loves them. They have had many portrayals throughout media that we all know and love. From the sexy models of Twilight, to the sexy models of Vampire Diaries, to the sexy models of the originals, to the sexy models of Hellsing. You see where I'm getting at? They are no longer a horror icon, and that pisses me off. Let me explain, right? Vampires are supposed to be one of the top 5 media monsters in history, alongside zombies, demons, ghosts, what was the other one? And werewolves. So why are they not scary? Why are they all just a bunch of sexy models? Well, today, I want to fix them. Alright, but before we can fix them, we gotta look at their current portrayal and my issue with them. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Sexy, gothic supermodels. That has been what vampires were portrayed as for the past 20 years. You never see anything scary anymore. It's always a baddie, a sexy dude, and then another baddie. They got their tongues out. They're always saying, la, la, la. It's always just a highly attractive being. They're never scary. They're always supposed to appeal to the eye, which makes no sense. Like, I understand if there's supposed to be some type of allure to them, but come on, bro. Because now you have them lumped in with the other scary monsters of media, but these guys aren't scary to me. They're pretty mediocre. They're all pretty shitty, actually, because all they are is sexy sex symbols. There's nothing scary about current vampires. That is number 1. Number 2, all of them have supernatural powers. I understand. They are a supernatural entity. Or are they? Ghosts are supernatural. Demons are supernatural. Zombies are not supernatural. You see what I'm getting at? Zombies are an infection. Werewolves are supernatural. They transform into wolves with the moon. Vampires shouldn't be supernatural because they have the same thing as zombies. You have to get bit to be turned into one. That is a person turning into a vampire, and all of a sudden that person is able to transform into animals. They're able to shoot fire or lightning or something. It's always some nonsense, and it makes no sense to me, because at that point you might as well just say they're witches. They don't have to be vampires. Just say it's a witch. Useless. Number 3, they're always in large covenants at war in the shadows. And I don't like that. I understand a lot of vampire media needs some type of conflict. But why is it that every single time they need a conflict, the conflict they settle on is, oh yeah, shadow war between multiple covenants? Why does it have to be that? It doesn't have to be that. It's always, oh, Group A and Group B are at war. Group C is neutral. Group D doesn't give a dang, and everybody's scared of Group C, and we're all gonna band together to fight Group C. I'm literally describing Twilight and Vampire Diaries, probably. I'm describing a lot of vampire media just by saying that, and you probably understand that, don't you? I mean, just look at Netflix's Castlevania series. There was just a bunch of different vampire legions. They all got together under Dracula's reign, and after Dracula died, they all went to war. So what's going on? Aristocratic hierarchies. Why is it that every single vampire media has aristocratic hierarchies? It's always there's the king, Dracula, there's a duke, there's a duchess, there's a marquis, I don't know what a female marquis is called, probably a marquise, I don't know, probably. There's always a lord and a lady. It's always aristocrats. Why do they have to be aristocrats? Why can't we have more down-to-earth vampires? Why is it they always have to be draped in fancy leather? I understand they've been alive for a long time, so they're more likely to be draped in fancy stuff because, you know, they've been alive for a long time, they've accumulated wealth. But where are the ones that are just killers, that are just doing nonsense out there? I don't see them. It's always generals and all of that. I'm tired of seeing that. I want proper vampires. No more of these aristocratic hierarchies. Especially when they make modern day shows, but they give them historical hierarchies. What? And my last issue with them, which is I'm not even talking about their issue, I'm talking about current portrayals. My last current portrayal that I want to mention is being apex super predators. They're always seen as apex super predators, untouchable to everyone else around them. They always have magic. They're magic. They can hunt down larger bodies of humans all at once. One vampire is able to wipe out an entire village. Why? Why is one single vampire wiping out towns? They don't need that much blood, do they? It makes no sense. They definitely don't have the metabolism to contribute. Unless they do, and I didn't know, unless it's a magical craving, it doesn't make sense that they're able to do so much so fast with how little time they have. It makes no sense that they have to be a apex super predator, especially since they infect so many different people throughout time that it makes no sense that they haven't been wiped out already. Because we would have come together to wipe them out, you feel what I'm saying? That's my current issue. Now that we have established their current portrayal, let me mention what are the 3 things I have an actual issue with throughout all vampire media right now. What are my main 3 issues? Number 1, they don't deserve the title as a top 5 media monster. Alright? These guys have been so they haven't been a horror icon in a long time. They have been sex symbols. They have been everything under the sun except media monsters. You know it's bad when you have entire niches of men and women that are in love with y'all. Not scared of y'all, not interested in y'all, in love. No one fantasizes about going to town on a zombie, on a werewolf. Well, actually, no, they do fantasize about werewolves, but no one fantasizes about demons and zombies and stuff. They do vampires though. That's number 1. Number 2, corny love stories. Every single time in modern vampire media, it is the same thing, just a corny love story. Twilight's corny ass love stories. Vampire Diaries had love stories in it. Originals had love stories in it. So many different things have a bunch of love stories inside of them for no reason, and I'm tired of it. Even Helsing had a love story thing going on too. Freaking Dracula was in love with old girl trying to turn her into his wife. That's a love story. Even though it's not the main plot of the movie, probably, it is a love story. I have to rewatch that movie though. It's a good movie. But the problem is that it's a love story. I'm tired with vampires being put into love stories. I am tired of vampires being nothing more than just forbidden love stories between vampire human, vampire werewolf, vampire demon, vampire ghost. Just give me vampire killing. And number 3, inconsistencies. I already mentioned it during the betrayal part, but there's too many inconsistencies. Sometimes they have magic, sometimes they don't. Sometimes a vampire can go from one house to another in the blink of an eye, and other times that exact same vampire is incapable of reacting to someone right in front of them. Other times, vampires can enter homes without a problem. Other times they require permission. Other times they have some type of loophole that doesn't need them to have permission. Other times they can stand in the sun. Other times they cannot stand in the sun. There's too many different inconsistencies with vampire media that it is starting to get out of hand. At least other monsters within the top 5 have something that keeps them grounded. There will always be this, that, and the third will always be part of this monster. Vampires, you can pick and choose whatever you want. Sometimes they need blood, sometimes they don't even need blood. They just need the color red. What? So, 1, I want to change them from an apex super predator to a parasite. Hear me out. Rather than having them be some type of apex super predator that goes around killing left, right, and good night, let it be a parasite. Let the actual vampire be just some small parasite, maybe the size of someone's palm, that crawls into fresh wounds by the neck, attaches itself to the brain, does some stuff to release. I want it to be able to release the limitations the brain puts on the body. I want it to erase the host's consciousness and swap it out with its own. I wanted that the reason why the vampires drink blood is because the parasite is the one that needs the blood, not the vampire, not the host. The parasite is using the host as a vessel to feed. That is what I want. Next is I want them to live amongst the homeless. Now hear me out. The homeless, drifters, addicts, those are corners of society that people don't look towards already. So it would make sense that if there was a creature that feeds on people, killing them, at least killing them often in fact, it makes sense that they would be amongst the homeless population. They add places where cops don't look, people don't look, people where you already associate bad things with that location. You don't think about, oh no, someone just died in a homeless shelter. You think, oh, okay, and you move on. It's messed up, but it would make sense for a parasite type vampire to be in that area. It doesn't make sense for them to be amongst the elite, because come on, bro, if an elite dies, the FBI is freaking investigating it. So no, it doesn't make sense if they're amongst the elite. They have to be down to earth, below the middle class, where people go to disappear already. Number 3, I want them to migrate for warm climates. All right, hear me out. The reason why I want them to migrate towards warmer climates and stay away from cold areas is because when it is cold, their prey, humans, aren't outside. They're inside, locked away, trying to get cozy. No, but when it's hot out, people are outside. People are at the beach. People are just walking around. People are doing anything and everything, hanging out with friends and family all the time outside when it is hot. So they would want to be in warmer climates because there will be more people outside rather than being in colder climates where there's less people outside. So it'll be harder to feed, you know? So I want them to migrate towards warm climates all the time, or migrate due to detection. If they are detected in one area and they're found out, they want to move to another area that doesn't know about them. Because if they stay in a place where they do know about them, they will hunt them. All right. And then number 4, I want them to be nocturnal hunters with heat sensing vision. All right. I want the parasite to alter their eyes in some way, shape, or form to allow them to hunt with heat. So rather than just having standard night vision like other vampires, no, they hunt with heat. So they'll go towards living people around. They'll pay attention, like, oh yeah, this is prey, there's prey here, here, and here. They'll pay attention to how much prey is there. I want them to be like that, and I want them to be nocturnal hunters because they can have the cover of the dark to help them out. Why do they need the cover of the dark to hunt? Because it is a parasite attached to a host. And since it's attached to a host, said host is obviously lacking a lot of nutrients because they're not eating human food right now. They're eating for the parasite. So there'll be discoloration of the skin. There might be the body might be malnourished. There might be dislocated bones, whatever. It doesn't matter. What matters is the parasite. So it makes sense for them to be a nocturnal hunter rather than just saying, oh yeah, they're gonna chow down. They can't be in the sun. No, they can be in the sun, but they're nocturnal hunters. They just prefer the night. That's what I want. Now that we have fixed them, right? The next stage is to decide their feeding cycle. See, a lot of times in media, they like to depict vampires just drinking blood like it's no one's problem. Sometimes they drink a small amount from one person and they don't drink for a week. It's like, are you not hungry? Are you not going to be malnourished? What's going on? You know? So I wanted that they have an actual feeding cycle. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to eat this day, skip, eat this day, whatever. So for me, I feel like there's only 3 feeding cycles that they can move from. One of them stands out from the other 2. Let me explain them. So the first feeding cycle is the human model. Now the human model would require 2.5 liters of blood per day to meet calorie intake. A human being needs roughly 2,500 calories per day. All right. So, and a human body typically holds 4 to 5 liters of blood. So if they follow the human model, they will have to devour 2.5 liters of blood every day, or in other words, they'll have to kill 1 person per 2 days. That is the human model of feeding cycle. They will eat 1 person every 2 days, as the human body has 5 liters of blood within it. The second model is the vampire bat model. See, in the real world, there is vampire bats, which are creatures that only drink blood exclusively. That's the only thing they devour. Now, the vampire bat needs to devour at least 40 to 60% of its total body weight. I don't think the vampire bat model is good because this would require this type of vampire to drink enough blood to cover 40 to 60% of the human body's body weight, which is roughly, let me check my notes, 20 liters or 4 to 5 kills a day. That's not good. That's not good for detection, and obviously There's massive nutrient deficiencies that are going to be happening. So I don't think it's a good model, but it's one of them. But then we have the third. Third is a hybrid model. This is a model where the parasite eats for both themselves and the body. What do I mean by this? Well, they will follow the standard 2.5 liters per day model, requiring 1 kill every 2 days to sustain themselves. But after each kill, rather than leaving the body sitting around, they will drag the bodies to a den where they stay, and they will eat the body. Why are they eating the body? Because the parasite, it has human knowledge, but it's primitive knowledge. So it knows I have to eat for the body, but it doesn't know what it has to eat for the body, you know? So with this model, it will drink enough blood for itself, one kill every 2 days, and then keep the body to eat over the course of those 2 days for the main body. This will allow the body to retain functionality but not die, because that is the main point I want to put into this. The parasite doesn't care about a healthy host. It only cares about a functional host. As long as the host can keep going at top performance, that's what matters. So it doesn't matter how unhealthy it eats. It is just going to keep on eating raw human flesh to sustain the body. It's perfect, honestly. And that is how I would fix vampires. I would swap them from a vampiric curse to a parasitic vampire. I want the main vampire to be the parasite that attaches to the brain, and the body is just a host. I wanted to release limitations on the body and release a bunch of other chemicals that will keep the body awake at all times 24/7 and operating beyond human levels. That is what I want from a vampire. And then lastly, I wanted to just be a relentless hunter. I wanted to just focus on hunting and killing. I'm tired of these vampires flirting with people, being this charismatic beauties that aren't scary, because that's the problem with vampires. They're supposed to be a top 5 media monster in horror, but they don't even fit the horror genre. And that's my issue with them. I need more vampires that are just scary. And this type of vampire would be exactly that. Scary. And I know a lot of y'all are thinking, but it sounds more like a zombie than a vampire. Honestly, that's the thing. Zombies and vampires are unfortunately similar all the time. They're both the dead reanimated. They're both the walking undead. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. So yes, it might just sound like a zombie, but it's not a zombie. It's a vampire. And that's how vampires are. Leave a like, subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one. Go with God.